Hello, everybody. It's Thursday. The crypto market sucks. So let's talk about the biggest asteroid to hit this planet in the history of humanity. It's AI. Welcome to Thursday. Big thank you to Sean D, T&D, K8, and everybody else for being here. This one, we're going to talk about, there's a lot of stuff I think about when it comes to where the world is, where it's going, where we've come from. I'm trying to make sure all my screens are right as well. And it's important to be both, I don't know, it's a world of chaos. It's a world of contradiction. AI is changing everything. Should we be grounded and pragmatic? Or are we becoming nihilists? And there's just so much to cover and it's all happening so fast. So what I'm going to try and do on Thursday is do the roundup of the week for all things AI, what it means. We're going to incorporate TA. Are there any buying opportunities? And maybe as well, October is becoming Rectober because we didn't get a Rectober in September. And historically, anyway, by the way, early October normally sucks. We're through the halfway point of October. It still sucks. So something is wrong. It is different this time. So either way, seatbelts on, keep some dry powder handy in case we have an opportunity. With that, not financial advice, just a guy on the internet. And thank you to everybody on Patreon too. That was a long one from Hoddle55. Just joined Patreon. Apologies, way too late. Should have joined ages ago. Better late than never, as we always say. And by the way, AI Impact playlist is going to be above here too, if that's all you're interested in. I'm going to break this into sections. We're going to start with robots and bots because bots and robots and robotaxis are going to change everything. They're going to make the pie a lot bigger, create a lot of wealth, but also they're going after the biggest total addressable market in the world, aka labor, which is $50-60 trillion worth. First of all, Robotaxi rollout from Tesla. It's funny, I kind of feel bad because I wanted to build a chart as good as this, and I didn't. Tesla did, but it has all the different states. There's so much to see here. Where they are in terms of testing, if Tesla insurance is available, where they've applied for permits, or if it's not even required. A place like Florida, you don't even need it. Where they have LiDAR testing done, where they are, just running wild in all these different places. A couple of things that point out to me about this chart is one, nearly 30 million population are served just from these cities alone. And the second thing, Tesla insurance available. They seem to be targeting states that where Tesla insurance is available, like Arizona, California, Colorado, Nevada, Illinois, Texas. Other states have to follow soon. Now, I put my crude little map together, which I thought was interesting, and I overlaid the actual population by color coding it too. So you can see, minimize the wrong thing. So you can see it there as well. But you can see the country is pretty well covered, including, very important, snowy areas. Some people still believe Robotaxi doesn't work in the snow. Yes, it does. Denver, Colorado, Chicago, they get a lot of snow and ice. And then we have other places all over California, Nevada. Nevada, I think target is Las Vegas, Phoenix, Arizona, all over Texas, all over Florida, New York, and that's all she wrote. Now, what would be interesting is to see how this compares to Waymo. So here is the Waymo map. See how they're doing. And already, just in a very short window of time since the Robotaxi launch, Tesla Robotaxi is exposed to a lot more people than Waymo is. Waymo only operates San Francisco, LA, Phoenix, Austin. They do plan on going out in Washington, D.C., Atlanta, Georgia, and Miami, Florida. But compared to this map, it pales in comparison. And again, Waymo has been running for 10 years plus. Robotaxi is brand new. And we'll see what happens. Let's look at the Tesla chart real quick. After I talk about a topic of a stock, I will flash to the chart just to give everybody an idea of where we are. Let me know if you like this approach. This is Tesla on the HER. Now you can see the whole history of Tesla going back since 2022. By the way, late 2022, very early 2023, that's when Elon Musk had to sell a bunch of Tesla shares to buy XAI because the US courts forced him to buy it. And I'm very grateful the US courts did that because it changed the trajectory of the world. But that was $106, by the way. Since then, we've been going through a very choppy period, but you can see it broke out again November 2024 and mean reverted all the way back down to 220 with tariff tantrums and then shot back up to nearly the same high again. So the market is saying we are looking a little bit toppy right here now on Tesla, which means get some dry powder ready because there could be some buying opportunities. Fingers crossed for sub 400. Not sure it'll happen. Earnings are coming up and it'll probably have a lot of surprises. And then the shareholders meeting is on November 6th as well. More surprises there too. So lots of good stuff coming. But either way, the chart, we'll be careful jumping in here. And a shout out to the team at Dumb Money. They were talking about how Elon Musk, from some inside baseball that they heard, they heard that Elon Musk is maniacally focused on Optimus humanoid robot and even sleeping over in the office and working with the team. The team is working 7 days a week, 12, 16, 18 hours a day. So we don't know if that's true or not, but I get the impression it's partially true and he's not doing SpaceX and Boring Tunnel and Tesla and all the other stuff. He's probably there too. Now, speaking of robotics, we're still in the Robotaxi robot theme. This was a cool little chart from TSMC. TSMC make a lot of chips for players like NVIDIA and others, the most valuable company in the world. It's funny. The company that makes the chips for the most valuable company in the world is not the most valuable company in the world, but it is a top 10 company, which is kind of up there. But three things that jump out at me from this is their focus on robotaxi and robots. They project very high volume growth in these areas. As we go forward, they expect MU, I guess, is millions of units. TSMC anticipates robotaxi deployments of 2.5 million units. We know Elon Musk is going to have 1 million of them running around for his comp plan, which is very helpful. Again, I'll say this one more time. His comp plan is a roadmap to a 10x, a 10-bagger. And I've never before seen a beautiful comp plan like that basically lays it out. We're all going to do very well if the team at Tesla and Elon Musk can execute. Of course, there's always a caveat. Crypto AI, nice handle. Thank you for coming. Now, back to this. A bunch of those robotaxi chips will come from Tesla, and they already make chips for Tesla, and so do Samsung as well. It'll be a combination of AI5, AI6 coming from these two different places. We will talk a little bit more about TSMC in a minute. But also robotics, humanoid robotics, as a huge volume driver by the end of the decade. They've got another 2.5 million puppies, million units each planned, and could be an awful lot higher. This is their strategic roadmap on top of all the other good stuff they do. AI, AR, XR, smartphones, PCs, data center AI accelerators, etc. But this is a very, very interesting list of breadcrumbs of where we are going next in the space. And then let's talk about robots, because we're on the topic of robots still. This is a cool chart from Bloomberg. US and Chinese robotic startups are receiving the most funding. $15.4 billion has gone to US robotic startups and $8.2 billion to Asia. And remember, there's a company with nearly $40 billion in cash that manufactures at scale like no other factory on the planet. And they put the heaviest things ever into space as well. So it's good to have a lot of competition and good for a lot of money to be coming into the space, because that basically validates the space. This robotic thing is very real, so get ready. And many believe in 2027, just 2 years from now, maybe less, we'll have our own little robots in our house running around. And it will not be a Roomba vacuum cleaner. It'll be something much more sophisticated. Okay, since we start off with chips and we fell into chips with TSMC, let's go a little bit further. There's some other stuff happening. TSMC is doubling down. They're building a second fab in Arizona, doubling down. They're already nearly finished the construction, I think, of phase 1 or phase 2 of their expansion. But they'll build another 6 more on top of that. And they'll be producing, I think, the 2 nanometer processors. And again, this will really help the world, because once TSMC has multiple factories now in Arizona, it's less of a choke point if anything ever happens to Taiwan, where the current factories are. So good for the stock, good for the West, good for robots and AI. Let's look at the TSMC chart. Again, very sad. I've been waiting since July, August, September, October for these things to go down, and they're not. They just keep on going up. This is the TSMC chart. Up only since literally April. That was the tariff tantrum. Give us another tariff tantrum, please. But you can see as well, though, per the chart up here, the stock is looking a little bit toppy, still breaking new all-time highs at $300. Will it mean revert? I don't know. When I look at other charts like gold, etc., it's not. And AI is a bigger TAM than gold, and gold breaks new all-time highs almost every day. So either way, we'll see. We can hope we can break into a dip on one of these things, hopefully one day soon. Also, other semiconductor players are making the news. ARM is partnering with Meta, and Meta is shifting key AI workloads like ranking and personalization for stuff like Facebook and Instagram and the other things that they do. And they're adapting, I think ARM is adapting Meta's PyTorch tech stack, tech methodology to build these chips, and they'll go into their data centers that they're going to be spending, I think, $600 billion over the next 2 or 3 years on. So this is good for ARM. Let's have a look at the ARM chart because we haven't had a look at that. And this one is a volatile beast. There was a time there when people were saying, oh, ARM's going to not make it. I think it was earlier this year, March, April timeframe. But you can see the price tanked all the way down to that $80. Coincidentally, NVIDIA tanked to $88 too. But now it's back up close to all-time high. All-time high is 190, and they're about 171 right now. But I would have expected the ARM stock to pop a lot more than it did. But that's all sure. Let's check on Meta. Meta also looking very toppy. Everything seems to be looking toppy today. I don't see any magical dips, but Meta has been on fire at $712. Hard to believe. That was at $90 a couple of years ago. $90. And that's one of them that I'll take. This is one of the mistakes you sometimes make in investing. I sold too early. Sold them at 300, 350, if I recall. And it's doubled since then. But anyway, it's okay if you sell things a little bit early, as long as you move that money to something that will triple. So if this thing doubled, say you sell, so people always get tripped up in this, oh, you sold too early. No, but if you sell your gains on Meta, you bought at 90, you sell at 350, take all that money, put it into Tesla at 140, and that triples, you're better off than holding Meta. So that's the key. It's okay taking profits if you can move the money to a faster horse. If you're happy with a double, you stay on that horse. Very important to remember. Just want to hammer that home because people sometimes get tripped up in that. But by the way, as Meta is planning to build or spend $600 billion on data centers, I would like to remind everyone, this chart's now out of date. XAI is probably closer to 300,000 coherent GPUs running right now, maybe 400,000. The original one is to 100,000. The X1, Colossus 1, Colossus 2 is now almost up. Tesla has over 50,000 now as well. But in terms of Musk Industries, they have nearly half of all compute. And it's coherent. The question is, can anybody else catch up? And that's the $1 million question. Let's switch gears. Let's talk about AI and LLMs and the impact on the software world. There is some breaking news out of Google. And by the way, I don't have any Google, but keep an eye on Google. They're doing some very exciting things. They have this thing called Gemini 3, aka I call it the Windows killer. And they shared a demo of this thing. It's currently in beta, but it's supposed to be coming out by the end of the month. But from a single user prompt, no iterations needed, you have this AI outputted HTML, CSS, JavaScript code that simulates a desktop environment working within anything. It's got a file explorer, it's got a notepad, it's got a terminal, it's got code editor, painting app. It's basically Windows, a snake game variant, etc. It includes animations, a taskbar, and they have replicated what Microsoft Windows does. But you can run it on anything. It can be run in a Chrome browser, a Firefox browser, an Edge browser. Basically works on any computer where it's Mac OS, Linux, not Windows. You don't want to replicate Windows and Windows, but you could if you wanted. And there's no special hardware required. So this could be super interesting. And of course, it's said to be more secure than Microsoft Windows as well. So watch for this. And this is the whole theme of how AI software, AI-created software, is beginning to eat the world, eat software. And that's with things like MacroHard I covered a couple of weeks ago, how they are going to spin up AI to be able to replicate enterprise software. Now we have Google with Gemini 3 replicating Microsoft Windows software. Is Microsoft a sitting duck? The answer is probably yes. It'll be sad to see Microsoft implode. Don't like Microsoft products. Don't like Microsoft. Anyway, moving on. Google Chart. Again, toppy, but right at all-time highs. I was looking at this thing back in March, and I was like, should I get back on Google? Because I was in it for a long time, in, out for like decades. And it was really tempting. And again, missed that one, but it's doubled since early in the year. But many things have more than doubled. So I bought NVIDIA instead of Google at the time with the cash that I had. Now, speaking of software, AI, and LLMs reading the world, I am also very personally interested in medicine, not biotech investments, but things that could cure people from chronic diseases and illnesses and cancer and such. And I was just chatting with somebody earlier today, and I was like, And it's one of my weird, perverse ideas. But imagine they were talking about a stock called Sana. And I was like, oh my God, these financials are terrible. And I said, biotech is riskier than crypto, 1 in 100 chance of making money, and then the insiders make out first, etc. But I did say I've got this perverse theory that maybe biotech of the future could be spawned by AI such as XAI. They might be able to find solutions to chronic diseases far better and faster than the existing industry. And the existing pharma industry is massive. It's $17 billion. It's growing at 27% CAGR because they sell stuff that doesn't necessarily fix things, but I'm not going to go there. Anyway, I do believe AI could disrupt biotech industry. They could take research papers and bring ingenuity to a next level to find a way of creating medicines or solutions or cures to diseases at scale that have never been considered before. Anyway, fingers crossed that this happens. This could be some of the things that, I don't know, XAI or MacroHard or maybe some other LLM could actually do. Could be fascinating to see, because the pace of development and progress out of existing biotech companies is far too slow. Now, final piece of AI news, AI LLM news, Apple, their head of ChatGPT, Apple's head of ChatGPT-like AI search effort is leaving again. And he was only in the seat for about 12 weeks because the other guy left too. And Apple has lost, I think, over 12 of their top AI engineers this year. And recruiters described it, I think, as open season. Everybody's coming in and poaching their people. And maybe, I don't know, I have got some theories as to why the people are leaving Apple, because they have a closed wall, closed garden software, and it moves very slow because they're very risk averse. And Siri is garbage, and people don't want to be associated with that. And I think they were supposed to revamp Siri, but they haven't done that yet. That's been pushed out to 2026 or 2027. By that time, the world will be a very different place. Next year, the world is already going to be radically different from 2025. And Apple is still trying to tie their shoelaces. Ridiculous. Now, in bubble news, because everybody says AI is a bubble, and believe me, there are sectors that are definitely bubble-licious out there. I think that's a chewing gum or something from back in the day. Let's look at some Capex. This means, thank you, Michael. This means that there is technically no bubble. This is the annual data center Capex for the top 4 CSPs. This is wild. Again, 2025 estimated expenditure is nearly 3 times what it was in 2023 and nearly double what it was last year. And this is just 4 players. Remember that other chart I showed you? This one? Their spend is huge. But Musk Industries has already spent a lot more and implemented a lot more and has developed the best LLM out there already. So they could technically be throwing good money after bad. I don't know. But either way, there's infinite demand. And Fortune magazine just spoke about the bubble. They said, I think, if I could recall, Goldman Sachs was behind this. And they said the productivity gains far outweigh the investments. That's Goldman Sachs' thesis. And I agree with them, because AI investment levels are sustainable because the benefit you get is incredible. I can't remember their exact wording, but when deployed properly, the productivity gains from AI is going to change the way people work and make them infinitely more productive, effective, and efficient. So either way, they are still very bullish. And also, they talked about the Capex demand from hyperscalers that we just showed a chart of. Google, Amazon, Microsoft, Meta is through the roof, and they are not slowing down. Also, Wedbush highlights NVIDIA GPU demand, saying the demand to supply ratio, I think, is 10 to 1. So if they have one box to sell, they got 10 customers lined up to buy it, which is pretty wild too. So bubble, no, but some people believe yes, time to take some off the table. So billionaire Ken Griffin, he's part of Citadel, they sold 48% of their Palantir, and they quadrupled down on NVIDIA instead. So they took the money out of Palantir and stuck it into NVIDIA. So they're leaving the software world, buying the hardware world, which is super interesting. Let's check out some charts as well. Another toppy chart. Everything is toppy. This is when markets are this hot and this toppy, it's you start moving to cash and stacking your cash, and you wait for the next mini correction or 10% sell off or whatever. We could be heading into one of those now. Who knows? Huge, by the way, regional banks got completely slaughtered today, and fiat is going to the toilet, and that's why gold is going to the moon. So if you put all this together, it's rocky out there for sure. This is a Palantir chart, double top as well. Maybe Ken Griffin nailed the actual sale and the timing of the sale. And a lot of people are still very bullish in Palantir. They do some very interesting things, of course, and very much in demand in today's crazy world. That being said, maybe it's good to take 48% off the table and move into NVIDIA. Interesting. Let's talk about jobs in the future. Let me know if I'm missing any categories where you want additional data on the stuff. Let me know. These are the top AI themes that I see right now, but please let me know if I'm missing anything or if something is not of interest. First of all, academia. All right. The people that teach. Shout out to all the teachers out there. Academia has said AI has had zero effect on jobs so far, says a Yale study. I think anybody can do some basic maths or look around. Like a friend of mine has a law firm. They literally whacked 3 staff and brought on 1 young intern. And with AI, they're operating like the 3 other staff and a paralegal using AI. Okay, you can't make this stuff up. The head of the firm is pretty much alone with this junior person. Good to see a junior person getting hired. And they can handle way more clients with a lot less staff. Again, it's just one San Francisco case study, but interesting nonetheless. But the case is, academics say, no impact on jobs. That's not in the data I see. Data I see shows huge impact on jobs. This line, shout out to Holga, this line down the middle is when ChatGPT rolled out in November 2022. And since then, these are the canaries in the coal mine. This is a Stanford study. And it talks about how AI is leading to fewer jobs, especially starting with the younger workers and recent college grads, because people can now do a lot more with a lot less staff. High-frequency payroll records from millions of Americans were generated by ADP, the largest payroll software firm in the US, were analyzed and revealed a 13% decline in employment for early career workers, and that's the most ever in history, even after controlling for firm-level shocks. And in contrast, by the way, the good news is, for us older folks, for the first time ever, we get a bonus. More experienced workers in the same occupation has remained stable or grown. So what they're basically doing is taking people with experience who know how to ask the right questions, giving them AI and saying, do more. We'll pay you the same, but do more. So they're holding on. Now let's talk about jobs, because this is a very important chart about the future of work. If you have younger generation growing up, these are the places where they need to focus on and the places they need to stay away from, like the kiss of death. Think kryptonite level stuff. So I'm going to try to walk through this chart. As a lay person, I'm not going to get too scientific. I'm going to try zoom into it a little bit so I can see it properly too. You got 4 zones. Top left box is yellow, top right box is green, bottom left box is white, and red. Red is red for a reason. Red is bad. But let's start at the top and try break this down. This is the R&D zone. This is the creativity. This is research and development. These are fun jobs. These are creative jobs, like creating something, art, video games, new ideas, new approaches to finance, whatever. It's building something new. And this is what AI sucks at. Okay. This is where people need to be focused on. As computer scientists, technical writers, very technical, prototyping, building things. So pitching ideas, that type of creativity, that's where people need to be focused. That's what AI sucks at. Let's go to the top right, the green zone. Workers love it, but AI can do it well. So humans should do the fun tasks and AI should handle the boring bits. So little things like, tax preparers, they can use AI to do the heavy lifting, like all the data entry and stuff, but they need to have the human there for quality control. You don't want to screw up. Same thing with legal, by the way. You don't want to screw up legal. You can have AI take the first cut, but the last 2 or 5 or 10% of quality control needs to be done by a human. Same thing with mechanical engineers, etc. So keep an eye on that. That's also opportunity. Bottom left is a low priority zone. Workers hate to do it, and AI can't do it well. This is what neither AI or workers want to do. Boring tasks. AI messes up, etc. Ignore it for now. Don't waste time or money on AI here. Examples include airport workers hunting for lost bags, routine screen watching, etc. Terrible stuff. And then bottom right, the red zone. Workers hate it, and AI can do it very well. Annoying, repeatable tasks, filing papers. This is where you want to swap humans for AI fast. These are jobs you do not want to get involved in. Think logistics, think computer network support, think municipal clerks, preparation of agendas, booking travel, all that type of stuff. Supply chain folks calling vendors. This is where you get a lot of benefit from AI, and humans don't like to do it either. So that's kind of the future of work, quick and dirty. Look at the chart yourself, read all the detail, but think in these 4 boxes. Stay away from the red. Play in the white if you like. Green is optimal. Yellow, mixed bag. So that's where we are. And that's the best chart I've seen in this before so far to date. Next, we do have a generation crisis coming. This is the electrical power shortage, and a crisis is definitely brewing. The AI boom is consuming power faster than the grid can keep up. By 2028, US data centers could use 12% of America's electricity, enough to power nearly 30 million homes. And then we taught the machines to think, but we haven't taught them how to keep the lights on. And this is where Tesla and Elon Musk are right at the center of it, because technically we can double the US grid capacity if we can store energy and just have that energy storage for peak times. That's very, very important. And that's why there's also infinite demand for Tesla Megapacks, which is going to be great for the stock down the line. Now, this is another cool piece as well, which I found very interesting from The Guardian, and I call it the global AI trust paradox. And this is how we have a lot of people here in Europe, I know for a fact, watching this show, right? Drop a flag if you're in Europe right now. But it's kind of interesting to see the difference in perspective around AI from different cultures around the world. And I love this. You got people are, mostly aware of AI, but they're more worried than they are in terms of spending time to dig into it. If you're watching this show right now, you're spending time and you're digging into it. But most people want to just bury their heads in the sand. And the US and China lead AI innovation, but they're also the least trusted, which is kind of funny. And citizens place more confidence in their own governments or the European Union for the Europeans to handle AI oversight. They don't trust the companies to do it, nor do they trust AI out of other countries. Super interesting. And this tracks with political and emotional alignment, not technical capability. People tend to trust their countries or institutions they already like or have grown up with. And younger and more educated groups, however, don't give a damn. They just want the best AI. They don't even care if it comes from China. And that's another generational difference too, which I find completely fascinating. And again, I think it was Pew Research put this together across 25 different countries. And the concerns, the big takeaway is the concerns outweigh the excitement about AI, which means they're like those ostriches with the heads buried in the sand. You know, I always say, grip the worry, hep the sorg. Don't run away from a challenge. Don't let it come and eat you. You face it head on and you embrace it or die. So, fascinating study there. And I see flags from all over Europe. We got Austria, Norway, Germany, I think Argentina, UK, amazing. Portugal, Spain, brilliant. Nice to see all the folks. So we do have a lot of Europeans watching it because you're probably young and you don't care because you see the benefits of AI and you don't care where it comes from. Whatever LLM, it could be DeepSeek out of China. Who cares? Make it happen. And shout out to Humanity's Last Hedge, which is what I named this video from. Somebody in the community called Humanity's Last Hedge. I love this. But it's basically a simple little chart of where we're going to go. You know, is there going to be a good AI outcome or a bad AI outcome? And we've all been thinking about the outlook on AI. Each of us assigns different probabilities to whether it'll be good or bad. But one thing I can tell you is from this, figure out your probability. The world is going to be very different by 2030, whether it impacts your life or not. Two things are the takeaway is become an asset manager. You get your hedge, you build your hedge against what's coming. How bad it's going to be or how good it's going to be. It could be abundance for all. Flying around, we'll be driving Lamborghinis that float in the air and we go to Mars for summer holidays and all sorts of things. Who knows? Or it could be an Orwellian dystopia. Either way, build assets to protect yourself and hedge from the future. And also stay healthy and have fun. Take care of your families, make memories. There's the important things. Finishing with meme du jour. Sorry if I've gone a little long today. It's like, this is the stuff I lay awake all night thinking about. This is from I Am Developer, who's actually a really real person on Twitter. Dumbest person you know is being told you're absolutely right by ChatGPT. And we know AI hallucinates, etc. But it pokes fun at the ChatGPT LLM for its overly polite and agreeable personality. And early versions were designed to be helpful and non-confrontational, and a response to queries with, you're absolutely right, or that's a great point, even after the user's statement is completely false. And we need AI to be absolutely truth-seeking, even if that truth hurts. We don't want people stroking us and hallucinating, or LLMs, not people. So I thought that was very funny. Good way to end the show. Hope you all learned something today. As the dog starts chewing my iPhone cable. Such a note. She's going to electrocute herself and take us all down. What a day. Sorry about the market sucking, by the way, but tomorrow's another day and we're going to make it. Big thank you to American Beijinger, Sean D. So you got people all over the world, China and everywhere else. Team D Tesla, K8, and all you wonderful people. And also massive thanks to Sir Winston, Yunka, Crypto AI, Michael, Swiping No Swiping, and B-Man. Appreciate you all. See you tomorrow for Friday Fire. The week is over already. Unbelievable. Thank you.